Hi everyone, welcome to another episode of Building Site. It's been over a year since the last episode, so there's been a lot of change, a lot of things in Site that I need to show you, and we might get to do a bit of coding later on. Okay, so without further ado, let's go to the coding monitor, and I'm just going to fire up a quick terminal. So to start Site, I'll just create one. This is starting a new Site server. Now let's use this command line tool. I can list the resources that are in Site. There's nothing at the moment, it's an empty database. So what I'm going to do is go and configure it and make it fill it up with some resources. So I've got a init file here with some tasks that are going to reset the system. It's going to do some bootstrapping. We're going to create an OpenID registration, which will allow us to authenticate ourselves to Site. So Site will have a trusted third party for authentication. We don't store usernames and passwords in Site. Possibly we could, but it's better to use a third party. Then we're going to install a system API. We'll see that in action later. And then in OAuth2, the language, a thing called an authorization server, right? I'm setting all these base URIs. You can configure these to your own domains. Now I'm going to create an add user, which I'm going to put myself in. This nickname is important because this is the thing that's going to recognize me. This is my GitHub nickname. I'm going to grant myself a role. I'm going to do the same with Lucio, and then further on we're going to register some applications. So the two applications I'm going to register is a Swagger UI and another one called the Surveyor. So let's see that in action. So I'm going to say site init and call what was that called? Local init. Okay, and this will take me through a number of prompts. Do I want to accept these? It's a good way of just looking to see what it's going to actually do. So I'm going to reset everything. Now I'm going to install some of these resources. Notice the auth.site.test. So these are kind of some fundamental primordial resources that the system needs. Okay, oh, hang on. What happened there? Did I press something wrong? Yeah, okay, I think I pressed delete key. Anyway, you can see here that this is all written using a thing called GUM and Babashka, as you know, kept that as the scripting technology for now. So we're registering the OpenID client. The issuer, this is the one I've got from Auth0. I'm using Auth0. You could use Cognito. You could use any number of other issuers. This is the client ID that Auth0 has given me. Then this is the secret that it's given me too. Now I'm going to, these are the resources that this operation is going to install. So let's do that. Now I'm installing the system API. You'll see a lot of these if you've been following the development of Site. You see this new concept called an operation. I spent most of last year, 2022, thinking about how to make Site secure, how to make everything in Site subject to access control. So there's this new concept here called an operation, and we'll touch on that much more in a few future episodes of Building Site. But without further ado, let's install those resources. Now we're going to install an authorization server. There's a few resources here, a number of operations, some permissions. There's an endpoint called token info, and there's a key pair, which is used for the signing of JWT tokens. This is all about something that can generate access tokens for clients or client applications to use to call APIs. Very fundamental part of an API server. Now we're going to register through users. So this is Mal, this is myself, this is my issuer, and my nickname. So yeah, we're going to do that, and I'm going to grant myself a role. This is all done at a console level, and this is all actually peeping into the REPL and doing things on the REPL. So this is really like a front end to a REPL. This is the last time that we'll really use this interface, because from now on we'll have a real server that we can talk to over web protocols. So here's Lou. Let's put Lou in, and let's grant Lou the role. Now we've got to register some applications. There's client ID Swagger UI. There's a this is where it lives. So site is no longer going to try to be a host for applications or a web server. It's going to say, hey, it doesn't matter if you put your applications on GitHub Pages, on Cloudflare, on Netlify, on Vercel, deploy them anywhere you like. But let us know where you've deployed them because we need this for some CORS headers. But then, and tell me what resource server you want to talk to. Now let's just remind ourselves what OAuth 2 resource server is. Let's kind of go to our diagram. So a resource server is something that, here, let's write it as a box. A resource server is something that has exposes an API. So usually it's attached to a database. What will happen is that we'll have a let's have an authorization. This is the authorization server, and this is the resource server here. And finally, we have in blue. We'll have our client. But you can have any number of clients. We can have a mobile app client, we can have a website, we can have TV, doesn't matter. And then these will go to the auth server and say, could I have a token, please? And it will say, yep, here's the token. And then it will go to the resource server and say, I've got this token now. It's usually a JWT or something like that. It doesn't have to be. And then the resource server says, okay, I trust you, and you can have your information back. So those are the three roles in OAuth 2. Put the pens away later. Okay. So there we have it. If we go back to the console, let's put that resource server in. We're telling the auth server what we're registering a client, an application, and we're telling it what API that client is going to want to use. A few more information, and then we've got one more to do, which is a surveyor app, which I've written in HTMX. But potentially there's going to be lots and lots of these clients, lots of customized applications that can all talk to the same center. And this is something we call atomic architecture in Juxt, and we'll talk about that at another episode. Right, okay, we're all ready to go. We've started the server. So let's just see what that looks like. So we'll go to the Swagger app. So here's something I did earlier. So this now looks like it's got, this is our URL. Let's just curl that and see that this was one of the resources, the domains that is being served by our site instance. I suppose we can curl that and put it through JQ and see this is an open API. This is the system API that we've just installed. Go back to what we're seeing served up to this Swagger app here. Okay, let's go back and let's try and use it. So I've got two APIs here. It's not a very big API. I haven't really built it. It's just being built out. But let's, for example, let's try and find our users. So we'll try this out and execute. Oh, and whoops, 401. Right, what does a 401 mean? Well, it means unauthorized. That means that I haven't got an access token, so I better get one. And there's a nice feature in Swagger. You actually won't be able to see that. Let's put me down there. Called authorize. I can click on that, and then I've kind of hard-coded this into this Swagger UI install. But you put in your client ID there, click on authorize, and potentially any scopes, and well, I go to get an access token, but we haven't told the authorization server who I am yet. It knows, well, we need to authenticate myself. So here I've redirected back to Auth0, saying, okay, well, let's log in with your GitHub, which we'll do, and then, right, we're back. We've got an authorization. So there should be an access token in here somewhere. Let's go and find that. I wonder if we can find it actually in the execute again. Look, those are our two users. So if I wanted to add a new user, for example, let's do that over here. Oops. Let's say site. I think I can add a user like this. So Bob, full name Bob Smith. Issuer, we'll make it the same thing, and we'll say Bob Smith. there. Okay, which will install Bob, and then if we hit execute here, we've got here's Bob. Okay, so far so good. What should we do next? We can have a look at these operations here. This is all the operations that are available to me now that I've logged in. If I haven't logged in, then I see some, but only the public operations. Okay, let's have a look at that bearer token. Let's pull that out, and it's got this big bearer token there. Let's just copy that. This is the access token. I wonder if we can pop it into something like JWT.io. Oh, that's saying it's an invalid signature. Well, that's probably true. Maybe I didn't paste it all. No, it doesn't matter. There is also an auth.site.test there where we can have a little token info there. Let's paste it into there. See. Okay, no, that's not the right signature. Okay, let's copy it again. Let's copy it from the network tab. These are rather should have there we are. Let's slap it in here. Yeah, here we are. So this is a kind of decoder. This interface here is a standard from RFC 7662. And the reason I wanted to show you this is because I want to implement one of these today, but another one which I think is RFC, yeah, this one up here, 8414, is what we will be implementing today. Okay, all authorization servers expose a document that says these are my URLs, these are my capabilities, this is what I can do. Okay, so this one says that there'll be a URL, I think it's called token info. Well, it should be there. Introspection endpoint, where we can put token. So let's have a look at that. I'll put the token in this token inspector. Let's see what happens when I press introspect. Here, I get what's happened on the request. I have this token, and this should be in that particular content type, request on content type. Yeah, here we are. This is a XWWW form URL encoded content type, just as we were expected to send. And when we do send it, as a response, we get some JSON back, and that if we decode it, that's a whole bunch of JWT properties. So it tells me that this is active. This JWT is known to the authorization server, and it gives me when it expires, when it was issued, when I can start using it, the username if we know it, the client ID that it's been issued for, its type, which is the bearer token, the person who issued it, which is our authorization server, and who it's for. In this case, it's the data.site.test. Now these two domains are different, as we showed in the diagram. Let's go to grief. Okay, so this here will be in my world data. No, this will be auth.site.test, and this will be data.site.test. And actually in Sight, they both use the same database, which is our friend XDDB. Anyway, onwards and upwards. Okay, I think that might be all I'll show you on this episode. I think what we'll do is next time we'll do some coding, especially this authorization server metadata. It's been a fast episode today. It was a lot to show, a lot more to show you in future episodes. But anyway, thank you for watching and see you soon. Bye-bye.